The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Columbia Sportswear. It's snowing again, and that wind chill is killer. But you're not worried about that because you shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection. It's warmth perfected with tiny gold dots that reflect your body heat inside and protect you from the cold outside. No snow or chilly temps can stop you now. Go out anyway. Shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection now at Columbia.com/infinity.
Tired of ads crashing your comedy podcast party? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Just head to Amazon.com/ad-free comedy to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Enjoy thousands of Acast shows ad-free for Prime subscribers. Some shows may have ads.
Have you ever wanted to try a TTRPG, but haven't been able to make it happen? Are you looking for a top-tier D&D and D&D adjacent experience with a game runner that knows what they're doing? Would you like to try a new system outside of D&D, but don't know how to get started? Then come by the Orsak Narrative Universe Discord and try D&D 5e or 3.5, Pathfinder, Monster of the Week, Percent Chance of Failure, or their own ONU system. Just tell them Roll Britannia sent you to get 2 weeks absolutely free. So head over to their website at www.orsaknarrativeuniverse.com to learn more.
Hello and welcome to Roll Britannia Parley, Episode 2. And I'm Tom, and I play a character called Keth Frostine in Roll Britannia. So in this series, I'm going to be talking to other podcasters, celebrities, and members of the TTRPG community with help along the way from my crewmates from Roll Britannia. Each episode I'll have a special guest who plays the game, talks about the game, or even sometimes makes Hollywood blockbusters about Dungeons and Dragons. So last time we were very lucky and we managed to talk to Jeremy Latcham, the producer of the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves film, or movie, depending on where you're from. And this time, James, the Dungeon Master from Roll Britannia, and myself, we sat down with the two directors, Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley. Now, don't worry, if you haven't seen the film yet, there aren't going to be any spoilers on it all. And of course, if you haven't seen the film, here's the trailer.
On your knees.
Okay, chop it off.
Chop it off. Let's do it. Oh, we got him now! You know what? I'm thinking there are probably sharper stairs somewhere else.
We're thieves, but we help the wrong person steal the wrong thing and unleash the greatest evil the world has ever known.
The Red Wizards created an army of the undead.
Sounds lovely.
Quite the opposite.
I know, I was being ironic.
I find irony is a blade that cuts he who wields it most especially.
You're not a lot of fun, are you? How are we gonna pull this off?
We're gonna need a team.
You need cool air.
Follow me to the orifice.
Back to school air.
The orifice?
I'll go last.
Let's go. I don't mind that. He missed.
No, that's not good. Aren't you sick of failing? We could die.
There's worse things than dying. I lost everything that ever mattered to me. And if we quit now, that's for nothing.
I don't want to see you die, which is why I'm going to leave the room.
This ends now.
The bridge is protected by an ancient trap. We must not trigger the mechanism.
I may have triggered the mechanism. So, sorry.
So, joining me now from Roll Britannia is James, Alex, Paul, and Chip.
Hello. Hello. Welcome to the second episode.
Second episode. I know. Doing very well.
Hello.
Hey. A sequel?
You're right.
Well,
yeah.
Episode 2.
Aren't
you lucky?
How did you find the content for this? How did you get... You got a celebrity interview last time, and you got another celebrity interview.
Celebrity.
Well, I'm very well connected, as we know. I'm not at all.
It's not even a random celebrity shout-out. This is like a proper celebrity, like...
And the celebrities, as I've already mentioned, that we've spoken, they were... And the celebrities that we managed to speak to this time were Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, the directors of the up-and-coming movie. What did you think? I thought they were lovely to talk to.
I did. I had to resist the urge quite heavily to ask John Francis Daley about his time on Bones, because the producers of the event were very clear about us only talking about the movie.
Oh, yeah. They gave us a lot of reminders.
Yeah. You have to ask stuff about the movie only.
I wanted to talk to him
so
about
what we did is we asked them stuff that was loosely related to the movie instead of about the movie.
Yeah.
Very gutted.
When you were making the movie about D&D.
Very gutted I didn't get
What was your favourite sandwich?
Yeah. What time did you have to wake up?
In the downtime, what was your favourite TV show that you watched whilst you weren't doing the Dragons movie?
Yeah. If you were while you were filming, you wanted to put some music on, and you wanted to listen to, let's say, a Beatles album. What would you say is the best Beatles album?
Best of the Beatles, obviously.
Yeah. What was it like telling off Ryan Reynolds?
Sorry.
But yeah, they were really lovely chaps. Like you said, we managed to sneak in some D&D chatter. It was really nice.
Well, surely you must have something for us to... For those of us that didn't
let's see what they have to say.
Audio.
Come on, what do you got?
Cue audio.
Yeah, what was the experience like? What was your favourite part about actually being involved in this project?
For me, it was finding the chemistry between these very different actors. They're all so disparate in their own personalities that you wouldn't normally think of them as being friends, hanging out with each other willingly. But I think the circumstances of the film and the fact that they all have this common interest and the fact that they're all so dedicated to the work, that's kind of what brought them together in a way that felt kind of magical by the end of the film shoot.
I would say one of my favorite times was the first day we started with Hugh Grant, because he had always been who we had in mind when we were writing that role. The fact that he said yes was both a surprise and a delight to us. And then when he came on set, we were fully, because we didn't have a lot of time to rehearse, it was really the first time we saw the character come to life, and it was better than we had imagined. You know, he just brought all of that Hugh Grant-ism to it.
Yeah, the phrase dream come true is often overused, but it was literally something that we dreamt up, and then it came true.
Is there anything that you did did everybody manage to get a D&D game in? Did you all play?
We played, yeah. When they arrived in Belfast, we took about 4 hours of our precious rehearsal time, and we did a game with a DM from Seattle via Zoom, and they played as their characters. And it wasn't just sort of a lark; it actually gave us a lot of information, because we got to see how they played, how they thought, and how they interacted.
It also gave them a sense of the very unique tone that comes with playing Dungeons & Dragons, which really does set itself apart from most fantasy lore that you're familiar with.
So you're obviously quite big fans of Dungeons & Dragons from everything I hear.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to play.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been playing, and what are your characters when you play?
Well, I played as a kid, and then as an adult 2 years before we even started the movie, played as a half-elf paladin called Ven Salafin, who has a name check in the movie. And look, I think the appeal that we saw with it was the fact that you can really do anything. And it's unlike any other game in that sense. And while that's hard to adapt, word for word, because what story are you really adapting? What we're really adapting is the spirit of gameplay.
And I was about 11 when I played, and I think I was a fighter because I was an 11-year-old boy, and I thought fighters were cool. But my older brother, was the DM, and he would kill me off pretty quickly.
So, if you could play one of the characters in the film, which character would you play and why?
You mean to take that actor's place in the actual movie?
Yeah. Or if play in the context of an actual game.
In the context of an actual game.
I think it would be fun to be a druid and be able to shapeshift into other animals like that. There's a lot of freedom to that.
I'd like to play as Zank because he is clearly the most overqualified player in the entire story.
Never seen an NPC like him. What part are you most proud of this film that you've made?
The cemetery scene is one of our favorites. We both grew up on Monty Python, and to us that feels like the most Python-esque scene. We even talked about trying to get the surviving members of the cast of Python to come on, but it was too expensive. But it really does capture the perfect meeting of D&D lore and raising the dead with the absurdity of what happens.
And for me, I think it was a moment, and I won't give anything away, at the end that is pretty emotional, and being able to go to these screenings and see people actually touched by it and crying, that to us was a kind of a gratifying feat to be able to pull off, because you wouldn't normally come into a Dungeons and Dragons movie thinking that it's going to hit you where it hurts.
I mean, obviously the answer is going to be because you love D&D, but are there any sort of real things that drew you to being involved in this project?
Beyond our love of the game, I think it was the opportunity to do a fantasy movie that we haven't seen, honestly. Princess Bride maybe is the closest, and that was quite a while ago. Because there is a fun side to D&D for most players, and we wanted to get that on screen, without it necessarily being, it's not a spoof, and we're not making fun of the world of the medieval fantasy, but, I think it's a different take, and that was really appealing.
Yeah.
That was really cool to hear that they both started from a very young age playing D&D, and obviously Jonathan Goldstein mentioned there about his brother being the DM and killing him off.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
yes,
funny.
I like that.
Mean, I definitely understand how that would happen.
Yeah, same. So I actually got into D&D through my brother, but obviously much later, and then doing it at uni. And I'm sure there was a lot more alcohol involved in our D&D sessions than when
he didn't say
11.
there wasn't.
It's true.
So to be fair,
it's true.
I love how John's character that he used to play got a name drop in the film.
I know.
In the film. You would, wouldn't you? You would, if you're suddenly making a blockbuster film.
And that led us on quite nicely to the question about all the other Easter eggs that they might have squeezed in there. Because
quite a few.
I think we all as a group have our suspicions that as D&D fans, if we'd been left in charge of a D&D movie, we would have squeezed in as many Easter eggs and little self-referential nods as we possibly could. So we asked John and Jonathan if they had done that, and this is what they said.
Well, there's a language called Thoras. There's no written English in D&D, and we didn't want to put it on screen that way. So the Thoras is translatable. So
it's
if you
technically accurate
in the lore, you can find what those letters represent, and then you can. It all means something that you see on screen.
Also, I would say that this has a lot of rewatchability potential, because we made sure that there were a lot of kind of mini stories playing out in the background of any big scene where you see a lot of extras. It wasn't just people walking from the left side of the screen to the right. They all have their own intentions, which I think added to the authenticity of the world that these characters are inhabiting.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch it again to check all that.
Well, I'm going to have to wait till it comes out so in a form I can pause so I can actually read that. And they had a very wry smile on their face when they were telling us that,
tidbit.
which says to me it doesn't say anything relevant to what it's supposed to say.
Yeah, there's got to be some in there.
There's definitely something they've put in there.
This is why this film is not just a one watch and done. This is why you want to watch it over and over and over and over again, just because every time you're going to glean some new tidbit of, oh my god, that could be a thing. That's that thing, or that's that thing. I'm trying to do this with no spoilers. But because that thing was really cool, but that other thing that equally was very D&D. But it was just so many good things.
Yeah, I liked those
and
things.
moments.
I also think that really says
Don't
a lot
spoil
about
it for
the
me.
mindset of them as creators and storytellers, and also about their love for the game that they've put in across
There's definitely
departments
something
with the
funny
production
that's been
design
dropped into
department
there,
and that
isn't
kind
it?
of thing. They've put in the time and they've put in the effort to create kind of that richness and also stay true to the lore.
Exactly.
The very fact that they knew what that language was called and they made the effort to put it in really says a lot about their love for the game. So it comes from a really nice place, which I really like, and it just, like you say, adds richness.
Now, one thing that I've always found that when we're playing Roll Britannia is we can make an expansive, elaborate, foolproof plan, and in a heartbeat, it all falls down like a house of cards. And that I really want to find out if they put that into the film as well.
We, as D&D players, we saw quite a lot of influences from Dungeons and Dragons itself, and even things like the actions that take place. Sometimes a best laid plan goes completely wrong in almost on the roll of a dice, and even, things like the combat, which feels almost sort of turn based when it's going on. Was that intentional? Or was that some? It was.
Mm-hmm. It was entirely intentional, and if you kind of look at it through a magnifying glass, you can really see that we paid attention to the details of the gameplay mechanics without ever compromising the cinematic storytelling, because obviously that comes first.
It's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. The bit where Chris Pine's trying to scratch his cufflinks or his chains or the rope that's wrapped around his wrists off, and he says there might be sharper stairs somewhere else or something like that in the trailer. That to me felt like he'd said, I would like to release myself from this grapple, and then rolled badly, and they got, the stairs just aren't sharp enough. You might need to find sharper stairs somewhere else.
100%.
That is deliberate.
real.
They it was filmed and scripted that way, so that it feels like on the roll of a dice, it went badly wrong.
Yeah,
or
which is
in a very sort of Jeff Silverbow way, you come up with a very complicated plan with lots of moving parts, and all of it goes really well, apart from the first really crucial part of it.
Yeah. You just need this one thing to work, and then the rest will pretty much
fall into place. Yeah.
No.
Which is really difficult to capture in a film where you need like those kind of story beats and kind of cohesive storytelling. I think they did a really, really good job. It's a really difficult kind of two different mediums to converge, right? Where you've got such randomness in D&D and for films and stories that are pre-written, you have like kind of patterns and structure. Yeah, 100%. And I think they really did a good job, and it must have been a difficult kind of process. Definitely as we covered in the last interview, but they also mentioned here, the session that they did with all of the cast and stuff like that, I think definitely really helped them immerse themselves into that kind of style of storytelling.
It's the only way to get organised chaos correctly. Really.
Yeah.
Now, we have all sorts of varying experiences amongst ourselves. Alex, you've been playing for years, and the rest of us, we have only been playing since we started.
For years now.
So we've got...
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, we've also been playing for years.
But all of it's recorded.
This is true. But we've been playing badly for years.
So have I.
Really. And I was really keen to know, like, who out of the cast really got into their role? Who had the elaborate backstory, or who just wanted to go and kill stuff? And I was really, really keen to hear who really dug in. And here's what they had to say.
I think Justice Smith. Mm-hmm. He would call us on the weekend and say, like, I've come up with a backstory. My father was this, and I'm a half this, and da-da-da-da-da. He really immersed himself in the lore. I have a feeling he does that for all the roles he plays. But yeah, he was really deep.
And he, I think, nails the accent too, which, was tricky when we first approached him, because we always saw that character, for whatever reason, having a British accent. And we were all pleasantly surprised. In fact, Hugh thought he was British when he first saw him, and that's coming from a Brit. So
his accent was really good. Yeah. His accent was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, to get Hugh Grant to think you're British, that's like he's like the icon of Britishness, isn't
exactly.
he?
You passed the test.
They were so pleased to get Hugh Grant in as well. They were delighted. That probably
I heard that I heard that Hugh Grant absolutely was really, really annoyed at the CGI monsters because they upstaged him all the time. He's in the middle of this massive, beautiful monologue, and he's like, "I'm really giving it my all," and then in the background there's some weird chicken thing wandering around, and he got really annoyed at being upstaged by the CGI monsters. Apparently,
only Hugh Grant.
Now, from playing the game for so long, and for someone who has never played it before, what advice would you give to a new Dungeons and Dragons player for the first time?
Well, I think first you gotta want to play.
Yeah.
But I would say let your imagination run wild. It is that freedom that you have with the gameplay that you may sort of lean toward the more conventional decisions, but the most fun I think you can have out of the game is really kind of bending the rules and seeing how far you can frustrate your DM, because that to me calls for the best kind of campaign.
So have you ever DM'd yourself, or is it have you only ever played?
It's too much work. I can't do it. It's just too much. I mean, we're DMing every time we write a script, but maybe if I had a lot of free time, I would want to tackle it. But it's pretty daunting.
Well, I guess one of the questions we really wanted to know is there likely to be a sequel, and can we have parts in it?
Is this an audition?
Yeah, no, we're in.
Oh, fantastic.
Just walking from right to left.
I've got 160 episodes of podcasts you can listen to if you like.
Good. You know, our producer, I don't know if you're talking to our producer, Jeremy Latcham, but he has a mantra that we followed, which it comes from the early Marvel days, which is just make one good movie. And if it's successful, worry about a sequel. But we put everything into this. We did not really plant seeds to lead to a later story. There is a ton we can do because the world's so big, and in success, we'd be psyched to jump back in. But we honestly haven't spent much time thinking about a sequel.
That said, if you guys want to be in the movie, you have to be fluent in common.
That's the language. And you're going to want to put on about 30 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, okay.
I can make that happen. Guys, it's been absolutely fantastic to speak to you today.
Thank you.
It's just that we love the movie so much. We were delighted to actually have been able to see it. Really, such a a sneak preview that we got, and we can't wait to share it with everyone. And thank you so much for actually taking the time to make it.
Oh, well,
yes,
thank you.
Appreciate it. Can't wait to see it again. Honestly,
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Now, if you listen very carefully, they didn't say no to us being in the sequel either. They did. You guys catch that?
Just have to put on some muscle.
30 pounds of muscle. Yes,
I could do that.
So,
I'd do that for a role in a Hollywood movie. No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 pounds of muscles. Isn't that just like a normal order in a restaurant? Oh, right. Sorry, I'm with the program.
so we
I
can
can get
to
bulk.
the gym.
Yeah, we've got to. We've got
So
to
in a
start
year's
it now.
time, we'll call them back and go, well, we're ready.
Yeah.
You know, we'll both look like a sock full of conkers and
kick down their door. I'm ready
Abs
for
like
my
a cobbled
close-up.
street, and back like a sack of pythons.
I'm all right. Us sorcerers don't have to worry about being hench.
Keth might.
Yeah.
my only solace from that was that they didn't say you got to lose some weight. They got to say you got to put some on. That was my takeaway from that.
Yeah, we've established the
Speaking
baseline.
of takeaways, that's probably a good way of
I was quite happy with
putting
that.
it on that way.
It's not you can't be in the movie you're too fat. It's you can't be in the movie you're not muscly enough.
Yeah.
That you can change.
But if you were,
that's what I mean. It
quite a
wasn't
lot
a
of
hard
different-
no. That to me is a maybe.
yeah, that sounded like a maybe.
So what's the plan then? Are we putting muscle on and then
we're all going to get jacked
when we know that they're
And
doing
then we'll
the next
show
one?
them our progress videos and steps and stuff like that.
And then
We'll
we're
be
going to take before and after photos, and then we're going to make a sideline selling diet pills that make you ripped.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
All of the weights
Wait, this
they
is
will be
still for
using
the
will
film,
be
right?
D20 shaped. They'll just be getting
lovely.
just heavier and heavier dice.
Yeah.
Just rolling medicine ball sized D20s around. That's what we'll have to do.
So literally, you're going to look hench from your forearm downwards.
There are other activities you could do with that, but we're not allowed to say those. So I guess you need to keep an eye out for Dungeons and Dragons 2, starring some very ripped Roll Britannia boys.
Yeah. Hugely hench. We're going to take up the whole screen. That's how big we're going to be.
Yeah.
We're going to be swole.
Gonna be triangles.
There won't be any room for any other people on the poster. It's just all of our, like, rippling masses.
So, in the meantime, if you want to hear more from us at Roll Britannia when we're not at the gym or playing Dungeons and Dragons, then make sure that you listen to all our episodes of Roll Britannia, which are wherever you can get your podcasts from. Anywhere you can ensnare a good podcast, we'll be there. So, we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Social Podcast Network.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.